Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and children of all ages. Welcome to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and happy 4th of July to our American viewers, and it is fitting that we get started with the USA as the home team here tonight against Japan. This is the Super 8 Four Nations Cup, a warm-up event leading into next week's WBSC World Cup about an hour north of here in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. I'm Chris Abbott, joined by Kyle Smith as we begin day 2. The U.S. coming off a walk-off loss to New Zealand last night. Japan goes down 3-1 versus Canada in their game. A little cooler here today, about 22 degrees. It's dropped about 7 or 8 from our start time yesterday. Kyle, the winds are howling again, and we've got a couple of teams that are very familiar with each other meeting again this evening. Before we get to that, let's take a look at the batting order for Japan, who's the visiting team in this game. Tei Hamamoto leads things off. Yusuke Morita and Koki Sato, 1, 2, 3. Kazuya Toriyama is the first baseman. After that, we've got some changes from yesterday. Yusuke Sakuraba at third, Kanta Nishida at second, Yutaro Inoue in right, Fumua Ueda is doing the catching. Defensively for the Americans, Jonathan Lynch, Blaine Milheim, Brennan Ducharme across the outfield, Braden Ducharme, Cam Schiller, Zach Shaw, Jeff Lewis in the infield, and Brad Kilpatrick's first pitch to Hamamoto, a ground ball scooped up at second base by Brennan Ducharme, and there's one away. Sorry, Kyle, I'm sucking all the oxygen, and things got underway here quick, but nice to see you again.
Yeah, good seeing you. Glad to be back in the booth. Made it back for another day, so that's always fun. But, yeah, I think when you look at this game, both needing the bounce backs after last night, I think even a bigger story for us today is Brad Kilpatrick needing a big bounce back after his struggles of finding the strike zone.
And it'll be his first time throwing to Nick Mullins, the veteran behind the plate. And Kilpatrick, who put on a fantastic performance for the team in Auckland, but was not part of the group stage last year, as Yusuke Morita is going to lift one down the right field line. And coming out to make a great catch down there, it's Brennan Ducharme. So the Ducharme twins into this one early on.
Yeah, those young guys just out there proving their worth here for this senior team as they make their big club debut. Veterans of the USA national program at the underage groups. But Morita just got it off the end of the bat, and that wind's going to blow it. And going for a long shoestring catch is Ducharme over in right field. So a quick 2 outs here to start for Brad Kilpatrick.
I think I misidentified Zach Shaw earlier on as I quickly was trying to get underway on the first play. I want to give Zach Shaw his due. Drop ball, in a rise ball, and Koki Sato, who took Justin Schofield deep last night, is in an 0-2 hole. And the first pitch of that at-bat from Kilpatrick, that's the drop ball he couldn't find the zone with last night. High dipper, and Mullins had to reach back across the plate. It might have been just a little high, I think, Kyle.
Yeah, called high at the letters, but the look on Brad Kilpatrick's face was he wants that one for sure.
That is low and away. Judged the ball by Scott McLaren, who is the home plate umpire tonight. Daryl Helmer's out first. Terry Richter at second. Ed Otterman at third. Part of the 5 umpire rotation we have here this weekend.
Yeah, 5 WBSC certified umpires. So 2 of them will carry on up to Prince Albert here this week. But these guys have been around the block. Not their first rodeo, as you would say, as Sato taking care of cleaning the house at the plate.
Sato's worked himself back into the count, and he's going to poke this one out over second base for a 2-out single, and Koki Sato stays hot here in Saskatoon.
Well, just takes what Kilpatrick gave him and poked it out into right field. Just a flick of the wrist, twist of the bat, and it's out into right field. Nice piece of hitting there by the 3-hitter. Now you get Toriyama up to the plate, and he's ripping hard off the hop. Yeah,
Toriyama has a good twist at the rise ball. Lefty on lefty match. A lot of lefties in this batting order. So, statistically, analytically, a good matchup for Kilpatrick on the mound. Toriyama, one hopper out to short. Schiller's going to take it the short way, step on the back himself, and retire Sato. Very quick top of the first inning. Brad Kilpatrick works around a 2-out single, and his team will head to the plate in the bottom of the first when we come back.
Welcome to Mont Hill Golf and Country Club. With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none. Well, here you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca. We can't wait to see you soon.
Coming up here in the bottom of the first, leading things off for the U.S. will be Jeff Lewis. He's followed by Eric Ochoa and Blaine Milheim. Cam Schiller batting in the fourth spot. Jonathan Lynch batting fifth. Then Braden Ducharme, Nick Mullins, Brennan Ducharme, Zach Shaw. So the Ducharme twins draw into the lineup today. They came on late as replacements last night, but they will get the start in this game. And Kyle, let's talk about the Ducharmes for a moment. You got to look at them for the first time in the Under-23 World Cup, and they were just kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still just kids.
I mean, they're still just kids, but you know, like they came out in the U18s when I saw them down in Mexico, and then with the U23s, like they're utility guys. They can play. They can. Braden, I think it's Braden. One of the Ducharme kids, one of the Ducharme boys can catch. Was the catcher for the USA at the U18s. Caught pretty much every inning with Cody Gibbons on the mound there. Works well behind the plate, moves well, receives well. But, you know, like playing third base, playing right field. They can also go out to left center. Really utility. I like how they handle themselves at the plate, both with a baseball background. Brennan is on a scholarship in the NCAA in Wisconsin, playing at D2. So, I mean, like, they've got the tools, and now it's just, like, adjusting completely over to the fastball game. I mean, they've made it, but now it's, like, it's fine-tuning things as they get a little bit older.
On the mound for Japan tonight, Fuga Nagai. He is the third pitcher, not necessarily number 3 on the depth chart, but he is the only one that didn't pitch last night in the game. Aikida and Onodera splitting the duties. Defensively for Japan, Koki Sato's in left, Tei Hamamoto's in center, and Yutaro Inoue takes over in right field tonight. Sakuraba, Okawa, Nishida, and Toriyama around the infield. Fumiya Ueda will do the catching for Nagai in this one. First pitch outside to Jeff Lewis, who led off the game last night with a home run against New Zealand. I don't know if that one was wind aided. It was pretty much dead center field, but the wind is howling left to right here tonight again. That might have hit Lewis. I heard a little tick. He's not reacting like it did hit him. And it's going to be called a ball. Did you hear that, or am I mad?
I thought I heard an extra. I thought I heard something. But Scott McLaren says no, and I mean, he's 20 feet closer than us. But no, I definitely heard something. I don't know, maybe if it was the catcher's glove.
Could have been, yeah.
They were coming for you, though. That one hit just below you.
2-0 strike on the offering from the guy. Japan has the exact same roster here that it brought to Group C in Oklahoma City last year, where they did play this U.S. team twice. The 2-1 fouled away by Lewis. In the championship game, now both teams had already punched their ticket, but the USA with a 10-0 win after a 9-5 round-robin victory. So outscoring Japan 19-5 in its last 2 meetings. And they will play each other again in the round-robin in Prince Albert. So what's the thought process as you come into this one, Kyle, do you think?
I mean, you know, I think we talked about it the other day. Like, at this point, you're not hiding anything anymore. Like, there's no secrets to this anymore. Like, you've played each other, you've played against each other now at multiple events. So I think the thought process is trying to keep your number one out of it. I think would be the idea, right? You don't want to show your hand, show your number one, you know, a couple days before the event. But I mean, like I said, there's no secret. So if Diaz comes into this game, not the end of the world. I think just from a innings conservation, you'd like to keep him out of the circle, but it's just more staying healthy.
Lewis is hit by the pitch. And that was in near the hands. Looks to be no worse for wear. To be honest with you, it sounded a little bit like it got part of the bat as well, but He will remain at first. So not the fun way if you're the leadoff man, but the leadoff man on base for the U.S. here in the bottom of the first.
I think the other thing that you're looking for in a game like this is, just some tendencies on hitters too, right? How do they approach it? How do they play you defensively? See the alignments. What do they do? Pick up some little intel, if you will, as this one rolls on.
Eric Ochoa up in the 2 spot. He sells out on the first pitch from the guy. Comes up empty. Strike 1.
So interesting on the guy, Chris, coming out of the glove, at least on that last pitch, he's showing the grip on the ball. So an interesting tell there. Yeah, you can see that grip as he comes forward with his pitch. So that's interesting mechanically that you normally don't see on the men's side of things.
Yeah, they usually keep it hidden until they start going up and around, but he does, you have a little bit of the backswing, and keep an eye on that.
Yep.
This is sent high and deep to right, and you can forget about it. Eric Ochoa with a 2-run home run here in the bottom of the first inning. And just like that, fireworks on the 4th of July.
Well, Eric Ochoa is a guy for the USA. If he gets hot, he is a difference maker in this lineup. Hitting in the 2 spot, second day in a row that they've come with a home run in the first inning, and this time it's Ochoa who pops that one out to right center field. A great piece of hitting, smooth swing, and it was a different pitch that he threw that time, did Nagai, and it's a different grip. So he's definitely showing his grip as he's coming out of the glove. So for these hitters, it's going to could be feast at the plate. If they can pick that up, showing those grips and coming forward. But Ochoa did not miss, and that's a guy, if he gets going, a difference maker for the United States.
Well, that'll bring up Blaine Milheim. Nobody out here in the bottom of the first, already 2-0 for the U.S.
Well, they jumped out to that quick lead last night with the home run in the first inning. Like you said, Chris, Jeff Lewis had the solo shot. This time you make him pay for the hit batter.
Nagai made his way into both games against the U.S. in Oklahoma City, and that includes the start in the round-robin matchup where he surrendered 12 hits, 7 earned runs, 9 runs total. He did strike out 13 along the way, though. Hard drop ball. Milheim stays alive. He then pitched 2 innings in the finale, allowing 1 earned run on 4 strikeouts. But as we mentioned, that game was out of hand by that point.
Milheim today finds himself out in center field, so he's going to contest with that wind on defense.
Yeah, you can hear the wind coming into our microphones, and we're shaded behind the plate here. That was a rise ball that also curved away from Milheim. A nice job to get a piece of it. Definitely
swirling out there. We saw that yesterday too, where the wind snapping around and coming in and then blowing across, and it's moving left to right across the field, and it is definitely at a higher pace today.
Another drop ball that Milheim fights off. Good at bat as he's down in the count by Blaine Milheim. Yeah, anything, if you're going to put one out to left, it's going to be a shot. That's what we've discovered. Home runs to right are getting a little extra lift, but fly balls to left, you're really going to need to put a charge into it. High and tight, and that's a ball. Two off the plate. Milheim has battled himself back into a full count. And Kyle, just to begin this game, we're only 3 batters in for the U.S., and they're having some real good looks at the plate.
Yeah, they've had good looks, good hacks, and lots of pitches here thus far.
The guy comes set. Time is called at the plate. Three-two. Milheim on the ground out to short. Okawa will make the throw and not in time. Milheim will slide in head first. Okawa kind of let that one come to him, Kyle, and it cost him.
Yeah, out in front, a little high, too hot. Played it soft, and I think he thought he had plenty of time, but heads-up base running by Milheim got up the line quick, and a head-first slide by Blaine to beat that infield single over at first base.
Third baseman moves out to center field. Now he's diving head first. Good show by Milheim.
So, Chris, through 3 batters, it's 17 pitches for Fuga Nagai here thus far this afternoon.
Schiller swings through a first pitch rise ball. Well, and that's the last thing you want if you're Japan. Still nobody out, 18 pitches from your starter. Use your other 2 guys last night. Not ideal.
You don't have anybody out, it's 18 and 11 for strikes. Contrast that to Kilpatrick threw 11 in the top of the inning.
Very tidy inning for Kilpatrick. Exactly what he was looking for. And Schiller's going to send this one out to right. Not deep, though. Hamamoto's over, and that is the first out of the inning. Excuse me, Hamamoto in center tonight. Inoue is in right field.
I think Cam's going to be a little disappointed in that bat. I think he'd tell you probably should have got better bat to ball there on that one. That one looked right kind of middle cut for him, and just couldn't square it. But good at bat, saw pitches, just didn't get the result he's probably hoping for.
So let's bring up the number 5 hitter, last night's player of the game, Jonathan Lynch. So we just got a weather update here in the booth. The wind blowing 27 kilometers an hour right now. At 7 p.m., they're forecasting it to be 40 to 60 gusting tonight. So end of this game, beginning of the Canada-New Zealand game, we may have a third team captained by Mother Nature on the field.
Well, I was downtown here this morning, and we went over to the Costco, and there was a good windstorm brewing.
This is trouble behind short. Okawa will come over and find it, and you can see right there, we saw it last night, the swirling of the wind on the left side of the diamond.
Well, you can see it right there. Like you said, Chris, it's a pop-up just underneath of it, and then you start out near the edge of the grass, and he ends up about 6 feet off the base as it gets blown back around, and that's that swirling wind up above. It's, if you've never been to Bob Van Imp, it's a big, as you've seen in the pictures, it's elevated stadium seating, so if it gets above the stadium, it's really going to swirl around there in the wind.
First pitch to Braden Ducharme is off the plate for a ball.
And if it's only 27 kilometers an hour right now and we get to 40 to 50, boy, things are really going to blow around.
That's a better pitch from the guy. Milheim, the runner, out first on an infield single. Since then, the guy's been able to retire the next 2 batters. And that's going to be high and outside to Ducharme, who's not interested. Has a pretty good eye up there.
The way to try to pull that one into the strike zone. Little shift of the glove. Trying to buy his pitcher a strike here.
Ducharme sends this to left. Sato under it and makes the catch. So Fuga Nagai will settle down after allowing the first 3 runners to reach base. However, Eric Ochoa with a 2-run home run to stake the United States to a 2-0 lead after 1 inning of play here in Saskatoon. So it'll be the 5, 6, 7 hitters due up for Japan here in the top of the second. Yasuki Sakuraba will get his first plate appearance of the weekend.
Yeah, the game we saw last night, Japan and Canada, it was one pitching, one substitution each, and that was in the pitching circle. Contrast that to what we saw in the evening game where everybody got into the ball game. Literally, everybody got into the ball game.
We thought Gerald Musilar and Chub Tangaroa were going to get out there last night. Big swing from Sakuraba.
Well, I guess to answer our question, Chris, Marco Diaz is getting loose in the bullpen. Or he's at least standing down there.
We'll call it very gingerly. There's no catcher. But, you know, it's funny. We were talking to Shane Boland last night, who's a guy who's not used to sitting on the bench, and those guys get a little squirrely when they're wanting to play and they're not in the lineup.
Why, we said in the broadcast, Shane was jacked up, ready to go before the game, and then he had to sit on the bench, and we talked to him back at the hotel after. He's like, I was cheering and spitting seeds, but I didn't know what else to do. So he went down, I got a catcher's glove, and was ready to go.
Well, off the screen to screen right. You can't see it, but Tyler Damon's just jogging down, and Marco Diaz will throw a few pitches. Now you can see it down in the background of the shot there. But no need for Diaz as Kilpatrick induces a ground ball. Nice hands and a strong throw by Braden Ducharme. And the youngster gets his first action and looked good doing it.
That ball sure sounded dead off the bat. A lot of thud there to it. Straight down, good drop ball there from Kilpatrick, and that's his bread and butter, right? Stay down in the zone. Brad's not going to overpower you from the pitcher circle, but he is going to pick his spots, and that was the interesting part about last night when watching him work, was just his inconsistency in the strike zone. He's always generally right around it. His inability to control the strike zone was more, for me, what leaving last night was a concern, right? Because as much as we've talked about, it's going to be Marco Diaz's show, but he's got to get support if he runs into a hot bat or a hot hitting team and he kind of gets knocked around. You got to have that. And I mean, Kilpatrick can do it. He carried him in 22 to a bronze medal, but you need him to be ready to go and have control of the strike zone like he generally does.
Nishida on the ground again. Nice hands. Braden Ducharme across the diamond. That's not a replay. That's the second out.
Nice play there by Braden. He takes a little step back as that ball comes to him, and he gets on a knee. Nice blocking opportunity. Takes that step, picks it, and cleanly. Good job by Kilpatrick. Get out of the way. And neat and tidy, first two outs quickly here in the second.
Inoue, a squibber on the ground. Shaw plays it carefully onto first. Don't blink, and the top of the second is over. 3 ground balls induced by Brad Kilpatrick. We're off to the bottom of the second. U.S. looking to build on its 2-0 lead. We see a few jackets, Kyle, and long pants. The temperature has certainly dipped since yesterday. I know when we left here last night, we were lamenting the fact that we didn't bring more clothes.
Yeah, I brought a sweatshirt tonight. It's not on like you being a soft boy over here, but that's fine.
I've got mine on. After I moved to Ontario from the east coast of Canada, I became soft. I like it.
Which is so funny. Because being from the east coast of Canada and then moving to Ontario, it's two totally different climates.
I know, but you get used to the warmth living in Ontario. I was just back out east and I was frozen, and it was nice. And it's nice here. It's like 20 degrees.
It was 22 today.
I remember our friend Blair Setford came to St. John's one time, as Nick Mullins will lead things off. And a first pitch low rise strike. And Blair was wearing one of those big Toronto Gators bomber jackets in the summer, and it was like 20, 21 degrees out. He was frozen. I couldn't understand it. But after living in Ontario, another low rise ball, another called strike. And after living in Toronto for a little while, I get it now. I get it.
Today's weather was conducive to guys like us. When we step outside, we aren't going to sweat.
And that's a normal rise ball up and out of the zone. Mullins not going to think about chasing that.
But it's going to get colder, and especially with that wind, it's going to feel even cooler, I bet. It's supposed to go down to about 11 degrees tonight for that late game. So, I mean, we're talking some cool temps here this evening. And next week, it's supposed to be 13 in the night games.
And in Prince Albert, at the stadium, the players won't be as protected as they are here.
Yeah, I mean, you're out at the end and it's open to the elements, but there is a dugout.
Curveball, swing and a miss. Mullins goes down, and that's the first strikeout for Fuga Nagai, who settled in here after the home run to Eric Ochoa.
Working to that outside corner there, you see it just kind of dribble its way back towards the plate. That ball getting awfully dirty. You can pick up the spin a little bit better on the camera at least.
So right fielder Brennan Ducharme will get his first turn at the plate. Looks at a rise ball outside. And ball too low.
Looks like Nagai wants that pitch on that outside corner, but that's got to come up just a couple of inches if you're going to get that call from Scott McLaren.
Ducharme finds himself in a nice hitter's count. Nagai working outside again, although it leaks in over the plate. Ducharme saw it, took a rip, it came up empty.
Well, good spin there from Nagai as it's coming in, working back in like you said, Chris, and Ducharme not able to get bat to ball.
Same thing, same results. And it's 2-2.
A little harder that time from Nagai.
Just off the plate. And the count runs full.
Same result that they have the reaction to on that outside pitch that they're trying to beg here from Scott McLaren to get that corner.
Might have been just a little below. It was a low rise ball. Yeah, he said it was down. Ducharme sends this out in the left center. Tracking over and making the play is Hamamoto. And there's 2 down.
Good at bat from Ducharme. Takes it the other way. Got a piece and this fly ball out to left field. It's easy can of corn there for Hamamoto.
So with 2 down and nobody on, it'll be the second baseman Zach Shaw, the number 9 batter in the American lineup.
Good rebound response here for Nagai out in the pitcher circle here for Japan. Better control here in this second inning.
Drop ball low. Yeah, and if you're the pitching coach and the staff for Japan, you're happy to see a nice, so far clean inning, rebound, maybe get that pitch count back on track. Foul tip, strike. And the count's even at 1-1. If you're just joining us, the U.S. leads 2-0. A first inning 2-run home run from Eric Ochoa.
They're going to that well, and it is bone dry here for them here in the inning.
That's a nice pitch. It's a nice pitch, but they're not getting that call. Just a little bit low. But the guy does throw a nice low rise. Just needs to get it up a little bit more, apparently. Yeah, you're right about that softball, Kyle. It looks like it was rolled around in tar before they brought it. It's only the second inning.
It's sure losing its optic yellow appearance quickly. Brings back memories of olden times when the white balls would become just black as anything.
The rag in the guy's pocket is also
She's a little
dirty.
off-colored.
Yep.
That probably landed on the ground before the inning.
2-2, 2 out, bottom of the second, 2-0 USA. Swing and a miss, strike three. Zach Shaw goes down, the second strikeout for Nagai on the inning. And just like Japan, the USA goes in order in the second. Moving right along to the top of the third inning here at the Super 8 International Men's Four Nations Cup, presented by your title sponsor, the Super 8 Hotel by Wyndham on Circle Drive in Saskatoon. Back here for the top of the third inning. And it will be the 8-9-1 hitters for Japan. Change up from Kilpatrick. Real nice pitch.
It's a stark contrast versus last night with Brad Kilpatrick. This is the Brad Kilpatrick that you expected. A lot more around the zone, pounding down in the zone here from the lefty. Keeps the ball down, it mixes in that changeup. So he's finding his rhythm. And I think the other thing you have to look at last night, too, is, pitching to Tyler Damon, not taking anything away from him. That was his first time putting on a United States jersey. And I'm talking the first time. He played in a couple exhibition games but with the U23 team, but the first time playing in a game in a United States uniform in a real national team setting.
Ueda goes down swinging, and whether it's Nick Mullins back there, whether it's another day's work, Brad Kilpatrick does not look like the same pitcher that was on the mound last night. And he'll start Ryuji Okawa off with a strike as well.
Yeah, that one looked like it bent back around in for a strike to Okawa. And Brad's really feeling it. He had 9 pitches last inning to get 3 outs, 11 in the first. So definitely being more economical here in his outing.
Drop ball shot over toward the Japan bullpen, and that, folks, is why they implore you to stay in the dugout. One and two count on the number 9 batter, Okawa. On the ground is short. Schiller charges, picks, throws, and makes the play.
Man, Cam Schiller just so smooth out there, right? That is a tough play to make that he makes look routine here on Ocala. Ball, 2 hops in between, takes it low on the ground and just fires a piece over to first base. But it's just he routinely set up for it, kind of played it off to the side, got it in stride, and throw it on stride. Waste no motion. Cam Schiller, smooth as silk there at shortstop.
Kilpatrick gets ahead 0-1 on Hamamoto. And for Schiller there, he's got to make the decision to charge that ball. I mean, just the speed with which you need to process what's happening. If you think back to the first inning when Okawa himself kind of let a ball come to him on the Milheim infield single.
Well, his first step was in. You knew right away that Cam was coming after it because he didn't hesitate. He was charging that ball right off the skip, and that's the baseball defense in him. Cam, one of those baseball guys coming over to fastball and really settling in, having himself a nice career. But right there, that's a baseball-type defensive play.
Hamamoto goes up and comes up empty. So after allowing a single in the first, Brad Kilpatrick has gone on to retire 7 in a row and has settled in very nicely here on the mound in Saskatoon. We'll go to the bottom of the third inning, but not before thanking our sponsors, Discover Saskatoon, Softball Canada, Rawlings Canada, and the Great Western Brewing Company. So back to the top of the order for the USA in the bottom of the third inning. Jeff Lewis will get his second plate appearance. He was hit by a pitch, came around to score in the first. So for keeping score at home, that's 2 games. 2 times he's come around to score in the first inning. One was fun, one was a little less fun.
I think the home run probably wasn't fun, right? Is that what you're saying?
That was the fun, yeah. Getting
Yeah.
hit by a pitch,
Yeah.
not so much fun. Picking up what I'm putting down, Kyle. That's why we get along.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here to support you.
But since then, Fukunagai has settled in. Nagai has retired 6 in a row. Another rise ball that misses to Lewis. And the guy's gone from too low to too high on that outside corner. Really working hard to find that zone where it's going to be a strike, or at least induce a chase. There you go. And the guy back in the at-bat as Lewis comes up empty.
A little bit more mustard to these pitches, too.
Yeah, he can amp it up when it's time.
72 on the last one.
It was a hard 72. And there's the one he's been looking for. 2-2. Keep working out, or will he come in? Went out a little bit further that time.
That's been the pitching MO here so far in the first 2 games we've seen from Japan. Is definitely working away to these hitters.
Well, he's got to come in a little bit now. The count is full. And he'll get Lewis to bite on the rise ball. And it's the 3rd strikeout in 4 batters for Fukunagai.
The difference between the first and third inning now for Nagai is he's got a lot more depth. He's getting underneath that pitch to get it to rise and come up and climb out of the zone. And the other thing is it's very tantalizing, right? It's in the zone and then it's a late moving upward trajectory on his pitch. So it's jumping and it's got a bite to it that it's getting up and climbing out of the zone.
Well, this will bring in Eric Ochoa, whose 2-run home run is all the offense we've seen here so far tonight. And that's called strike at the upper reaches of the strike zone.
That was almost the identical pitch that Eric pounded his last time up.
But you're right about that late bite on the Nagai rise ball. This time he's going low, and Ochoa comes up empty again, working off the outside corner. Nagai and Ueda. And Ochoa will chase the rise ball. 4 strikeouts in the last 5 batters for Fuga Nagai, and he's into a groove.
Eric really not in that at bat, went chasing, trying to get that one and roll out of the zone, working away. Nice execution there by Fuga Nagai.
Well, I talked about it, Kyle, when these teams met in the round robin in Oklahoma. Nagai had 13 strikeouts despite allowing 9 runs. So that would be the definition of all or nothing. Milheim goes after the first pitch, and that's fouled back off the backstop here at Bob Van Impe Stadium. Milheim with an infield single his first time around. He was stranded after that, and that was the last hit allowed by Fuga Nagai.
He's got a lot more movement here as this game's gone on, Chris.
Yeah, he settled in. It was like we talked about, he did not get a chance to get out on the mound last night. So Kilpatrick had that slight advantage coming into tonight's game, but Nagai looks like he settled in quite nicely. And that's curious because, you know, you talked about him showing his grip. That looked like a drop ball grip to me, but it ended up high. That would be confusing if you were. That's up and away.
The guy almost looks like he's got 2 rags in his back pocket. One's a little cleaner, one's a little dirtier. No, that is one. Definitely a dirtier side to it, though.
Another rise ball. This time Milheim leaves it. And the guy has almost gone exclusively to the rise ball here in the last couple of innings, Kyle, and I wonder if that'll be something that the Americans are considering.
Well, if that is, you know, it's easy to zone in on. And if it's that consistent, you know, I know Ochoa went chasing, but have discipline, make him come down in the zone, and you'll easily get to it.
So Milheim reaches for the second time today. And for the second time tonight, Cam Schiller comes to the bat with Milheim at first. And it's a first pitch strike of the belt from the guy. but he is hitting that low rise ball on the outside now.
Missed that one to Schiller and had a good look on it as Ueda had moved well out into the right-handed batter's box.
I think Milheim has the attention of Ueda back there. We talked about Nagai looking for that pitch, and now he is getting it. He's brought it up just a touch.
Cam Schiller with a look back and a couple questions for Scott McLaren.
Schiller in a 1-2 hole, 2 down. Milheim off and running, and Schiller pokes this into left. Milheim's going to round second, and he was off on the pitch, so he'll easily stroll into third. And Koki Sato will calmly bring the ball into second base. Runners on the corners now with 2 down.
Well, Schiller just takes that, fights it off, and puts it into left field. Lucky for Okawa, that ball not on the ground because he had left his position with Milheim going. But find it with runners on the corners now. Milheim had a little bluff attempt at coming home. They looked as though they were not really paying attention to him. Blaine had aspirations of maybe trying to score one a quick way.
Sato plays a smart and strong left field. That would be a risk. It's also a risk to pitch to Jonathan Lynch with runners on the corners, as this guy is clutch. And he has a chance to break this game open. Again, the first pitch, a low rise ball outside corner called strike.
Careful you don't want to develop a routine with your pitches. That's another one to the outside corner.
Yep, and the guy back-to-back low rise balls outside corner. And he's ahead 0-2 on the American left fielder. They go out there again, and Lynch is going to poke this one off the glove of Sakuraba. And Milheim will trot in to score. Schiller moves up to second, and it's an RBI single for Jonathan Lynch. And Kyle, just like you said, you play with that pitch too often, they're going to catch up to it.
Well, Lynch didn't miss it, and he busted it down on the third baseman, Sakuraba, who got a glove on it, but he got down to him in a hurry, couldn't glove it in. So an RBI single for Lynch.
And with 2 on and 2 down, Braden Ducharme will step in. Ducharme went the other way last time as well with a fly ball out to Sato in left.
That rise ball well out of the zone. Playing a short left field is Sato, Chris.
Another low rise ball called strike. So Nagai had to battle to get that call, Kyle, but he's getting it consistently now. Takes a little off. For strike 2.
A little wiggle to that one from the guy. Fools Braden Ducharme.
And the guy's been working ahead, but maybe coming a little too close on these 1-2, 0-2 counts.
Leaving a lot to be had, but has been dodging around more often than not.
And they'll get Ducharme to chase that rise ball well out of the zone. And the guy will limit the damage, but he will allow one more run. The U.S. sends 6 batters to the plate here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. They tack on one more, and they'll take a 3-0 lead to the 4th. You're watching the Super 8 International Men's Four Nations Cup here on Softball Premier. We've got a pitching change for the United States. Marco Diaz will come on to start the top of the 4th. Diaz pitched 3 innings before being lifted himself in last night's game, and 3 strong innings for Brad Kilpatrick tonight, Kyle.
Yeah, and I think that's got to be the game plan, right? 3-3-1 or 3 in a mixture. But, the way Kilpatrick throws through tonight, I think that's a good sign, and you get him out and don't let it blow up on him. As he leaves on a high note for sure as you look towards the next game and next week.
First pitch swinging, Yusuke Morita, and he's got a hit to lead things off here in the top of the 4th.
Marco Diaz comes in, Chris, and throws 182 out of the gate.
Didn't seem to bother Morita as he took that drop ball and sent it right back up the middle. Diaz just with 3 strikeouts last night. And that one's going to go right to the backstop. A good bounce for Mullins, but Morita is able to get in to second safely on the wild pitch. And I don't know if that was a cross-up or what, Kyle, because Mullins never came close to catching that ball.
I think that's just an airmail of the catcher. Looking at that pitch. I know there's been a couple times where some guys have said Diaz at times has had a hard time seeing the numbers, the signs, but it's not under the lights, so that shouldn't really be the problem.
So Morita down at second and a 1-ball count on Sato. Drop ball in for strike 1 in the outside corner. Diaz with 3 strikeouts last night through 3 innings. But lots of balls in play by the New Zealand lineup. And, of course, Morita, the first batter, also put a ball in play here this evening. Changeup is off the plate. And that was another thing last night for Diaz, Kyle. Locating the changeup was a challenge.
Yeah, leaving last night, you look back at that game, and no one really jumped out at us from the USA pitching staff, other than, I guess, really Cody Gibbons had a good outing. But Diaz, he didn't, put his foot down and throw one.
So after the single by Morita, a 3-1 count on Sato. Sato's going to flare this out over second. Going to be a tough play coming on, and making the catch is Brennan Ducharme. And Morita caught off second, and it's going to be an easy double play. And just like that, there's 2 away here in the top of the 4th.
That's got to be a base running error for sure. Not sure why Morita was so far off the bag. Especially with 1 out, that ball drops in easily. He's going to score with the speed, but quick to it was Ducharme, and right field, and he's made 2 nice catches tonight, Chris, making a claim for our PO Player of the Game awards.
Yeah, and both of them on the run, reaching down and scooping the ball off the floor. So Kazuya Toriyama will step in with 2 down, and that's a nice change-up in the zone from Diaz. But yeah, that could have turned this game around if that ball gets down. And even if it doesn't, a nice catch, and you've still got Morita at second with 1 away. And a hard dipper outside. Toriyama, no chance. So unorthodox, but Diaz gets Japan 1-2-3 here in the 4th. The United States pitching staff just 1 over the minimum through 4 innings. They'll take a 3-0 lead to the bottom here at the Super 8 Four Nations Cup, brought to you by the Super 8 Hotel by Wyndham on Circle Drive here in Saskatoon.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, don't forget to purchase your tickets for this evening's 50-50 draw. Sellers will be making their way around on that.
Welcome to Mont Hill Golf and Country Club. With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none. Well, here you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca. We can't wait to see you soon.
The 7-8-9 hitters due up in the bottom of the 4th inning. Nick Mullins, Brennan Ducharme, and Zach Shaw.
Catcher, number 7, Nick Mullins.
Mullins struck out in his first at-bat. And Fuganagai is still on, working his 4th inning. No action in the bullpen for Japan at this point. Rise ball, strike 1 at the belt. We don't have a breakdown of pitches, but I would say Nagai is at about 89.5% rise balls in this game.
That might even be low. I mean, even he's got the low rise working that he's gone to, I think, a bunch of times as well. So I'll take the over on that line.
Strike called, and that's a 1-2 count. Check that. A 2-1 count. As I thought the first pitch was a strike. Coming up later this evening at 8:15 local time, Canada, New Zealand under the lights on Friday night. Sure, it's a warm-up tournament, but that's still pretty special.
Nothing better than a New Zealand-Canada softball game.
Another rise ball. This is popped up on the infield. Toriyama is calling for it, and he'll make the catch over his right shoulder. Mullins is retired for the first out of the inning.
Now batting, the right fielder, number 16, Brennan Ducharme.
Brennan Ducharme will be the next batter. He flew out to center field in his first at-bat. First pitch from the guy is low, and ball 1 to Ducharme. Ducharme with a real nice catch in the top half of this inning, leading to a double play as Morita was caught napping off second base. That's outside, ball 2. A tidy little 75 mile an hour from Nagai here in the fourth. And he's fallen behind the first two batters for the U.S. And with that, Shota Onodera has started throwing down the right field line for Japan. Onodera came on in relief against Canada last night, and he looked pretty good. Didn't allow any runs.
And it was efficient, too. Didn't get in a lot of trouble in his outing.
The guys 2-1 to Ducharme. Right down Main Street for strike two. And Ducharme looks back and maybe just more frustrated he wasn't able to pull the trigger on that one. Swing and a miss, strike three. Nagai reached back for a little something extra on that one.
Now batting, the second baseman, number 9, Zach Shaw.
The sixth strikeout of the evening for Fuga Nagai. One of those strikeout victims was Zach Shaw, and he'll step in with two down now in the bottom of the fourth. Shaw chases low for strike one.
77 going down. One of those rare ones we've seen from Nagai.
Maybe you should use that a little more often. Then a low rise outside.
And I mean that's the thing, right? Is if you're really relying on that one pitch, it's easy for hitters to get dialed in on it. Even if you're just using it as something to change the level, change the eyesight, the eye line of the batter.
Another low rise at the knees for strike called. But he is generally down. Even his rise ball is down.
He's only had a couple that you would call those high rise, right? Where guys are going chasing. Like that one.
Well, that's efficient and smart use of your pitches right there. Two different level rise balls and a drop ball to get Zach Shaw. And after four complete, the United States leads 3-0 here on Independence Day.
No runners left on base.
As we move to the top of the fifth inning, and first pitch swinging, Sakuraba is retired on the ground ball to Zach Shaw at second base. Some defensive changes for the Americans after we look at this replay. High drop ball from Sakuraba. Frank Kimmler has taken Blaine Milheim's spot in the order, and he moves to left field. Jonathan Lynch is replaced by Yusuf Davis, and Davis goes to center. Kanta Nishida will look at a rise ball up out of the zone. Second baseman grounded out to third. Real nice play by Braden Ducharme. That was one of the two back-to-back he had in the second inning. Another high drop ball, another hit to Ducharme, and there's two away, quickly here in the fifth. And Kyle, at some point, I wonder if you're Japan, are you a little concerned at the lack of amount of hits you've strung together through the first game and a half here at the Super A Four Nations Cup?
Yeah, and I would definitely be, and I think the other concern I have here, Chris, is they haven't been patient with their at-bats tonight. They are swinging early in the count, putting the ball in play, and they're not racking up pitch counts on either Kilpatrick or Marco Diaz.
Yutaro Inoue, the right fielder. Hard drop ball outside for a ball. And even though Mullins has caught plenty for Diaz, I think there's sometimes he's like, oh, man, this guy throws the ball hard. Like the last pitch was a changeup, and then he came with a hard drop ball. It's like, oh, I got to be ready here.
For sure.
Another drop ball. Foul down the third base side. And, I mean, Mullins has caught for some of the hardest throwers that this game has to offer.
It's a different type of hard, too. It's a heavy hard as well from Marco Diaz.
3-1 now the count to Yutaro Inoue. Inoue grounded out to Zach Shaw to end the second. Shaw's been busy tonight, as has Braden Ducharme. Cam Schiller with a couple of highlight plays to go with it. Some strong defense on the infield for the USA. And here's another chance for Schiller. And not to overuse the term smooth as silk, but that's what that was. Another 1-2-3 inning. Japan has not had a base runner since the first. And we'll go to the bottom. U.S. looking to build on its 3-0 advantage. So Jeff Lewis will get things going here in the bottom of the fifth. I need to correct myself, Kyle. I said that Japan hadn't had a base runner. Morita had reached, but he was picked off. So as I was looking at my scorebook, I saw 3 batters per inning. And anyway, no, I'm mad enough to admit when I'm wrong.
That's a great characteristic to have. Big of you to do that.
Jeff Lewis leads off for the third inning this game. He was hit by a pitch and struck out his first 2 appearances.
Mere copies for the number of batters that come to the plate thus far. 6-3, 6-3. So
Lewis sends this high out to center field. Hamamoto's back, up, and will watch it go. Jeff Lewis with his second home run in as many games for the United States, and it's 4-0 for the red, white, and blue.
similar result from last night with where that ball goes. Jeff Lewis Nice swing to the ball and through it. That rise just caught too much of the plate, and Lewis gets into it. Well, they're off to a good start here with that 6-batter inning they're due for. I was about to say that my 6-year-old at home would identify that pattern for sure. But a nice smooth swing by Jeff Lewis. He's looked the part as your leadoff hitter, seeing pitches and scoring runs, driving in himself now twice.
Eric Ochoa is 1 for 2 with a home run. 2-run home run back in the first inning.
Home runs and foul balls. Under the stands here on the first base side received some cash.
Rate of inflation must have gone up. I heard now they're giving out some cash for the return of softballs.
I mean, coins are cash. I believe the rate is $1 for the return of a foul ball or a home run. I can tell you what I'd be doing if I was a youngster around the park this week. And that could get competitive. You know, there's some provincial tournaments going on the backfields here. We could have a lot of youth players over here once they hear there's $1 up for grabs for every ball that leaves the park.
Yeah, pulling up to the ballpark today, it was the parking lot was a lot fuller than last night when we got here. Yeah, there's about 3 provincial tournaments going on right now. I think about probably 20, 30 teams, maybe more here participating. I think they said last night U11, 13, and 15 age groups.
Those of you who are familiar with softball in this part of the world will know Gary Burns, of course, and Gary's running around organizing all that. Normally found posted up at these events. Two and 1 is the count on Eric Ochoa. Shota Onodera continues to warm in the bullpen for Japan. This is out high and deep to left field. Sato is over for a look, and that one's going to fall just shy of the Great Western Brewing Company Bear Garden.
Beats has got you there on the foul balls.
Shout out to the boys in the Bear Garden who stayed open late last night, Kyle, so you and I could get a bottle of water. It was quite nice of them.
We appreciate it. Just a nice conversation with some chaps out there as well.
Tell you what, you can tell they know their softball.
For sure. You also enjoyed it out there with the half-height wall.
That was great for me, yeah.
Those are the stories you enjoy hearing, right? Is the people you meet. That's part about coming to these tournaments is the people that you get to interact with and on a every time basis.
Eric Ochoa interacts with that softball and puts it into center field for his second hit of the evening. And quite the 1-2 punch at the top of the order right now for the USA in Jeff Lewis and Eric Ochoa.
Well, he got right to it. A little elevated in the zone, but right middle cut. I said earlier, if Eric can find his stroke, that'll be a big step here for the United States.
And so for the first time today, Fuga Nagai will face Frank Kimlinger, who came on as a defensive replacement last inning.
Saw him late in the ball game last night as well against the Black Sox.
Kimlinger struck out in his only plate appearance last night. He takes strike one, a low rise ball from Nagai. And I think now, Kyle, we're at the point where we wonder how long Fuga Nagai will continue in this one. I'm sure they were hoping to get him through the 5th. But a home run and a single. And still looking for the first out.
Yeah, I would say probably going to stick with him here, get through the 5th, and have a fresh inning for Onodera. The defensive prowess of Japan could turn too quick.
Line drive and back to first. And Kyle, I thought I was going to have to hit you up for the lotto numbers as well. But it's going to be a line drive played by Nishida for the first out.
I don't know if I'd give them to you. I'd get them. I'd share the money with you, though.
All right.
Wouldn't that be
As
fun?
long as I could get a cut. Enough so I wouldn't have to go back to work. That's all I want.
We just do this all the time.
Oh, buddy. I'd pay them to do it. Cam Schiller will step in. Get our own softball production company. We buy Luciano out, maybe.
Get a nice traveling RV system.
One can only dream. Not sure my wife would sign up for that, but... At the knees or just below for a ball on Schiller, 1-1.
Yeah, they're going back to that outside corner that just below the knees that wasn't there early. And again, it's still not there for them. Trying to find their way here in the fifth. Fourth man to the plate with just one down.
Schiller 1 for 2, singled and stranded back in the third. A little off speed from the guy, and that puts Schiller off balance, takes a strike.
Starting to break up the routine as well, taking a little bit more time in between pitches, slowing the pace down. Had gotten into a little bit of a rhythm with some quicker action, but
Well up and out of the zone. That'll bring the count even at 2-2. And one thing I can relay about Nagai from last year in Oklahoma City, this guy does not seem to tire. He can go out there and throw for you all day. Great kind of guy to have on your staff. Couple of ticks off that rise ball, Kyle.
yeah, down to 70 there. Pitch before was 74. You would think as he's kind of a little bit labored too, I think this would be it, as we talked about.
Yeah, he's taking more time between pitches as well. And this one's going to go to the screen, but it doesn't matter. It's ball 4. So Schiller will move on down. And the guy with that look into the dugout as if to say, are you going to come save me or what? Just what? I don't know if you see it here after on the replay. No. But we've all seen that look from the pitcher. Guys?
A little help here. Little help here.
It looks like he will stay to face Yusuf Davis. Davis started the game last night, grounded out twice before being subbed out for the aforementioned Frank Kimlinger. And the guy is looking for a different ball. Now, I wonder if he's looking for one that's a little darker. It's pretty clear. The darker one seems to have disappeared, Kyle.
Yeah, Daryl Helmer got a hold of it the last time and was a little hesitant to put it back into play. So a little all-purpose cleaner, rub it down. It'll be nice and clean.
Just a little bit of Windex or something.
Yep,
A little
absolutely.
Spray 9.
Yep, that's actually what would get them nice and clean. I got to do that one year at the World Tournament.
And in fairness, they would probably make it a little sticky too.
I was head ball washer that week.
Takes a village. Takes a village. And the guy who had been getting ahead in his at-bats is now starting to fall behind a little bit and is 1-0 on Yusuf Davis. But part of that too, Kyle, as we alluded to, was the Americans being a little more selective as Davis sends this one down into the Great Western Brewing Company beer garden, where the patrons seem to be subdued right now. Maybe just starting to get themselves ready for the big game for the home team, the local team Canada, coming up next.
You got to conserve your energy. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
What I see down there is a lot of guys who put in a hard week's work It's Friday evening. They'll hit their stride.
We also had promises made to us last night when we were getting some water. They offered to bring us refreshment, some water halfway through the first game. So we've reached that pinnacle here.
I'm not sure if they've got our feed going down there, but in case you're listening, fellas.
Just a nice little reminder. I forgot my Gatorade, so if you could hop on a Gatorade to the booth would be super as well.
And the guy reached back, snaps that one off, but can't find the zone.
Got to stay hydrated.
Absolutely.
Cramps are a son of a gun. With for high performance athletes like ourselves.
I've been called a lot of things, Kyle. High performance athlete is not among them. Davis chases down low, 2-2.
What would be interesting here, I mean, is how close to 20 seconds are we?
It's he's getting a lot closer than he was earlier in the game. I can tell you that for sure. We do not have a pitch clock at our disposal this week. Of course, it will be used in Prince Albert beginning Tuesday. In the dirt, Ochoa thought about it and decided to throw out the anchor. And the count goes full on Davis.
Interesting if we use the side camera after he gets positioned, you'd see the third baseman for Japan, Sakuraba, playing at a 45-degree angle towards the base and basically call that 3 feet off the base, neatly tucked to the corner, playing the line.
Ball four. As a former third baseman, I can tell you exactly what he's hoping for in that situation. Anytime it's first and second with less than 2 out, you're just waiting for that left-handed hitter to hit the ground ball so you can step on the bag, make the throw. But now the situation is that the bases are loaded after the walk to Yusuf Davis.
And Onodera has finished his warm-ups. Looks as though somebody getting loose with a coat on. Starting to stretch, got the heavy ball out.
That would be Aikita. There's only
Yeah.
3 pitchers on the roster here this week. And I mean, if you're going to go to Onodera, I mean, would you have already done it? Or, and this is just the cynic in me, are you waiting to see if maybe the U.S. scratches across 3 more here in the bottom?
I mean, at this point, that's almost what you have to be thinking. And letting the young lad work out of this. Seeing what he's got. I mean, it is the tune-up. It is about, working through situations. Don't get much bigger than bases loaded, 1 out. Late in a ball game.
So speaking of young lads, Braden Ducharme, who's 0 for 2, gets his third look at Fuga Nagai, and he's down 0-2 in the count here with the bases loaded. What a spot in the order. You're batting between, well, it was Jonathan Lynch and Nick Mullins. Now Yusuf Davis and Nick Mullins. What an opportunity for the young Braden Ducharme.
And if you get one down in the corners, Yusuf Davis at first base is in play for that third run.
And the guy with a little something extra on that, but Ducharme, who chased on a strikeout in his last at-bat, keeps it within himself on that pitch anyhow. In just under an hour, we've got Canada and New Zealand coming up here from Bob Van Impe Stadium. Ducharme will chase, and there's 2 away.
I think that's just a young lad getting a little amped up for that one. Went chasing, went high, and just outworked himself in that at-bat.
So from young to not so young, the elder statesman on the squad, Nick Mullins, with an opportunity now, and the bases loaded.
The wily veteran, Nick Mullins.
First pitch is up for a ball. Mullins will turn 40 later this year.
He's a young buck.
Just a kid. His knees probably don't even hurt at all. Another rise ball up out of the zone, and good eyes from Nick Mullins for the first two pitches.
Onadera back up warming, Chris.
Onadera's got a full game thrown down on the sidelines. 2-0 from Nagai is in and low for ball 3. Nowhere to put Mullins. So he can maybe sit on a certain pitch here, Kyle, or take all the way.
To be honest, I think you take here. These 3 pitches plus the last one to Descharmes, 4 in a row, maybe 5 in a row that have been balls.
Strike called in the inside corner. Gets Nagai back in the count. Okawa comes in for a little bit of encouragement. And the guy fully back in the count. 3-2, 2 down. The carousel will be moving out on the bases.
Now definitely Davis would be in play from first base.
He's in play on a chopper over the infield with his speed. Mullins going to send this to second, but it's grabbed out there by Nishida. Fuganagai faces 7 batters and more traffic than rush hour in Tokyo on a Friday evening. But he only allows the 1 run, the leadoff home run to Jonathan Lynch, and we'll go to the 6th. It's 4-0 USA.
I just want to take a picture of it.
So back here for the top of the 6th inning after a very long bottom of the 5th that saw 3 stranded and Fuganagai work out of some trouble. And now we're looking at our 3rd pitcher of the day for the USA. Cody Gibbons is on to pitch after 2 innings of work by Marco Diaz. And it's a full new battery coming in as Tyler Damon takes over behind the plate. Meanwhile, it's the 8-9-1 batters due up for Japan. Fumiya Ueda, the catcher, swings over that pitch from Gibbons. Lots of movement here in the booth right now, Kyle, as we just received the lineups for the Canada-New Zealand game. Drop ball fell back to the screen.
Liam Potts gets the start for New Zealand. And I believe on the lineup from Canada, I saw Ty Sebastian as the starting pitcher.
Yep, Ty Sebastian will start. And some guys that didn't play last night. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Givens will get Ueda, who goes down swinging for the second time in this game. We'll see guys that didn't play last night: Shane Bolin, Brad Esgo, Jordan Pomeroy. So for our friends in Newfoundland, it's going to be a late night start, about a midnight before it gets underway. But you will get to see those guys.
I think for Canada, it's just self-preservation to get Shane in the lineup after the adventure last night.
It was either that or they're going to leave him at the hotel, I think. On the ground to third. That's taken but fouled by Braden Ducharme, who has looked very, very good over there tonight, Kyle.
Yeah, not much is getting past him. Quick with the hands, quick with the feet. And for his first tour with the senior team, he is playing a good 3-bag tonight here. He's been contested too, not easy plays, but he's made them look effortless.
Gibbons takes a little off that low rise ball, a low spinner, and it gets Akawa out in front. And hey, Cody Gibbons has looked pretty good the last couple of nights here too.
Yep. I have been very impressed with Cody here.
Change up, and doesn't get the call, just low on Okawa. Low rise, strike 3, and the first 2 batters he sees go down swinging. And we'll go back to the top of the order. And Tei Hamamoto.
Well, Cody on the club circuit with the Bear Creek Gremlins this year, but also spending time with the Georgian Bay franchise here this summer. So he's getting lots of work, not necessarily with the Gremlins, but definitely with Bear Creek. So he's seeing innings and then just absorbing what he can with the Express on making that shift to higher level.
Hamamoto is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Two 2-0 is the count on the Japanese center fielder today. He was in right last night. Now 3-0 from Gibbons. Taken all the way is Hamamoto in a 4-pitch walk after striking out 2 batters. And Japan has its first base runner since the last time this man was up in Yusuke Morita. Morita singled, advanced to second on a wild pitch, but was then picked off on a double play where he thought the ball was going to get down. It did not. We're at that time of the night now where the batter is in the shadows. The pitcher starts in the sun and ends up in the shadows. Morita checks his swing, called strike, 0-2. Runners going, and Morita turns on this. A little bat flip to go with it, and Yusuke Morita will cut the lead in half as he goes yard to make the score 4-2. And a little bit of spice on that after the swing from Morita.
Little flair from the Japanese. But Morita, that awkward stance, gets up. Belt high, middle cut, didn't miss. And that one gets out of here in a hurry from Yusuke Morita.
So now we got a 4-2 game. And if you were with us last night, the U.S. were leading 3-0 heading to the sixth inning. Ended up losing 4-3. They were leading 4-0 coming to the sixth here tonight. And now it's a 4-2 game.
Eerily reminiscent of last night. Got out in front with that early home run. Let a team hang around, fight their way through. And now they marked here in the sixth. So still some time to right the ship.
Koki Sato chased well out of the zone. Sato had a home run against Canada's Justin Schofield last night. Skies this one to left. Kimlinger over, fighting the wind, and makes the catch. So Cody Gibbons comes on here in the sixth, gets the first two via the K. A walk, then a two-run home run from Morita, but it'll be a fly ball to left to end the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the sixth. Japan has finally gotten on the board. It's USA 4, Japan 2 here in Saskatoon.
Against me, that's a long shot. Cause I'm trying to wins all around the clock. Never doubt me, boy, I don't stop. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Yeah.
Of the sixth inning, Brennan Ducharme will be the first batter to face the relief pitcher for Japan, Shota Onodera. And Onodera comes in the second time in as many games in relief. Onodera just 24 years old. He is the youngest player on this team from Japan. And speaking of young players, we've got a tie for the United States. Well, actually, no. Gibbons is younger than the Ducharme boys by a year. So the right fielder, Brennan Ducharme, is 0 for 2. He's flown out to center and struck out, and you can hear the wind that was forecasted to start whipping around 7. Well, it's 7:36 local time, and there you have it. Ducharme tries to sneak down a bunt and fouls it back. Now the count's 1-2.
77 with a little lift to that one from Onodera.
Ducharme, Zach Shaw, and Jeff Lewis, the batters due up for the United States here in the sixth. Fouled away inside. Brennan Ducharme has had a couple of real good at-bats here tonight, Kyle. I've been impressed what I've seen from him, both sides of the ball.
Yeah, handles the bat really well. Puts that ball in play. Good discipline for a young guy just getting into the lineup here for the big club.
Takes high for ball 2. Hits just 6-3 in favor of the United States in this one. Although we've seen 3 home runs in the game, one by Eric Ochoa, one by Jeff Lewis, and then another by Yusuke Morita. And that's been the majority of the offense from the long ball. In fact, everything except the Jonathan Lynch RBI single back in the third has come courtesy of the round tripper. And Ducharme sends this high and deep to right. We talk about the win. This is carrying back. This is caught at the fence by Yutaro Inoue.
Used all of the 250 feet into right field, and just a little leap getting it there. Might have just gone off the wall, but he used all of the diamond to keep it in play. But a nice piece there by Brennan Ducharme to give that one a ride to right field.
Zach Shaw steps in. 2 strikeouts on his ledger. He takes ball 1 from Onodera. Foul back off of Scott McLaren, who dusts himself off. Just got our umpire assignments for the next one. Usually the home plate umpire gets the next one off, and he does. Mike Morrissey will be the home plate umpire for the next game. Terry Richter, Ed Otterman, Daryl Helmer on the bags. And that one off the foot, I believe, of Ueda.
Shaw just getting a piece of everybody behind home plate.
Just wreaking havoc back there. No toes are safe. Change up, and that freezes Shaw. He goes down for the 3rd time today on strikes.
Just had him something else on his mind. Here comes Scott McLaren.
Well, with 2 down here in the 6th, Tyler Johnson is going to pinch hit for Jeff Lewis. So Lewis departs with a home run and 2 runs scored on the ledger. So Lewis has been playing at first in this game. Johnson primarily an outfielder. And he'll look at a first pitch strike from Onodera. Johnson back up the middle, and this is going to be a pinch hit, 2-out single for Tyler Johnson to keep the line moving for the United States.
Well, a good piece of hitting there, just takes it right back up the middle. Open stance, little choked up on the bat, drives it into the ground, and bouncing ball out to center field.
Now batting, the designated player, number 8, Eric Ochoa.
Here comes Eric Ochoa. He had that home run back in the first inning.
He's 2 for 3. He singled last inning in that marathon bottom of the fifth. He was out on the bags for about 20 minutes or more.
Sure seemed like it.
He'll look at a rise ball, ball one. His first look at Shota Onodera here in this tournament. But as we talked about earlier, these teams wildly familiar with each other, the amount of times they've played over the last couple of years. And it's all shaping up for the big match in Prince Albert, the one that really counts in the World Cup round robin coming up in a few days.
Yeah, that's what we're building towards, is this Super 8 Four Nations Cup. Just giving these guys some serious reps before we head up the road to Prince Albert. Japan and U.S. in the same pool.
Runner goes, swing, foul tip, and out! Trying to steal second is Tyler Johnson. Let's get another look at this. Johnson tagged on the shoulder in a cloud of dust. He's called out, caught stealing on a nice tag by Okawa at short. We'll head to the seventh inning. Cody Gibbons looking to close this one out. The U.S. will carry a 4-2 lead to the seventh. Toriyama, first pitch, swinging over to make the catch, and the first out is Braden Ducharme.
Well, that trend continues that we talked about a little bit earlier, Chris, about just not being patient, getting after the first pitch early in the count. And they do that here, one pitch, one out for Cody Gibbons.
Sakuraba thought about having a swing. Maybe he should have. It was a called first strike. Gibbons on for his second inning of work. The U.S. working through their pitching staff in this one. Brad Kilpatrick with a strong 3 innings to start. Marco Diaz came on and threw a couple of innings. Then Gibbons started the 6th. Struck out the first 2 batters, then ended up giving a 2-run home run to Yusuke Morita before settling down and getting the third out. And I don't even need to say settling down. He threw well. Morita's a good hitter. He caught up to 1. 1-2 counts on Yusuke Sakuraba, who is 0 for 2 with 2 groundouts. Skied on the infield. Schiller back onto the grass. Makes a couple of steps into the short outfield, and now there's 2 away. So, last hope for Japan, Kanta Nishida. Real nice defensive game for Cam Schiller, who made that last out for the U.S. Swing and a miss from Nishida, count 1-1. Fouled away. Now Japan down to its last strike. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Down goes Nishida, and down goes Japan here in this one. The USA will take a 4-2 win on the 4th of July. All smiles on the mound for the boys in red, white, and blue tonight. Kyle, what is your assessment of what we just saw?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit more complete game, right? Everybody got in, got some work. Nice to see Brad Kilpatrick bounce back, more command of the strike zone, more command of his pitches. Marco Diaz comes in, and I'll say Marco Diaz not throwing near as hard as what we've seen here this year, so he's got more in the tank. But getting work in, I think still you'd like to see the U.S. Find that killer instinct. Right, they left another bunch runners on base and had a chance to end it maybe a little bit earlier. I think you'd like to see that. But takeaways for Japan, man, they gotta find consistency at the plate. They have to find patience. When they did that in that one inning, that's when Morita had the home run. But they're just too anxious. They're not letting the pitch come to them. They're not letting it work. They're getting out in front and they're attacking early in the count, and they're not getting their pitch. They're hitting the pitcher's pitch.
Well, for me, I feel like Japan is getting its swings in, but they're not playing the normal Japanese style that we're used to seeing. Now, part of that might be that they're not getting guys on base either, so they're not able to put runners in motion. They're not able to play any small ball, but their offense coming on 2 home runs. It's just maybe a different style of play than we're used to seeing.
I think, and maybe we have to go back to what Japan is always known for, and that's small ball a little bit, right? Like use the bunt, use the slap hits that we've seen in the past. I think maybe you have to shuffle the deck a little bit and look to do that maybe next go round.
And maybe they're just saving that for next week. Let's go to the player of the game presentations. So Morita, player of the game for Japan, 2 for 3 with a home run, 2 RBIs.
The player of the game for the United States, Eric Ochoa.
And Eric Ochoa, also 2 for 3 with a home run and 2 RBIs, is player of the game for the United States. Well, folks, we've got about 25 minutes until the scheduled start time for Canada and New Zealand, and that should be the time that we're ready to go. It'll take the staff here at Bob Van Imp some time to drag and line the field, but 25 minutes seems like a fair amount of time to me. You've been watching the Super 8 International Men's Four Nations Cup here from Saskatoon. Before we sign off, I want to thank our sponsors, the Super 8 Hotel by Wyndham on Circle Drive. This is Super 8's 6th international event sponsorship here in Saskatoon. Also discover Saskatoon, Softball Canada, Rawlings Canada, and of course our friends at the Great Western Brewing Company. The beer gardens are open, so if you're at the park, be sure to head out and grab yourself an ice-cold Great Western product. And if not, you can also send along some funds to buy some for me and Kyle. On behalf of Kyle Smith, I'm Chris Abbott. Thanks for tuning in here on Softball Premier. We'll see you in about 25 minutes for Canada versus New Zealand.
Welcome to Mont Hill Golf and Country Club. With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none. Well, here you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca. We can't wait to see you soon.